All intelligible data must pass first through the human brain, and the human brain is not simply a logic calculator that produces and changes its answer when presented with the appropriate information. Data must pass through 100 different mental filters before one can arrive at a conclusion that is desirable or reasonable. This is not to say that we cannot arrive at the truth, or that objective reality is a myth. Rather, everything that is able to be known is interpreted first by the brain, and people's degree of interpretation will dictate what the truth is perceived to be. This is also true for what we call facts. In the political, scientific, and social spheres, the term fact-based is often used to differentiate one source of information from another. The implication here is that one is based in fantasy. This is not a totally useless tool of measurement, for when claims can be empirically measured. However, even an empirically verified claim can have further interpretations as to the implication or meaning of any given discovery. This is so true that the same verified claim could fit into opposing worldviews. No more obvious is this phenomenon true than in the political arena. At least in science, there can be peer review, mathematical plausibility, and verified experiments. But even still, identical data can produce different conclusions. However, in the world of political news, commentary, and debate, it becomes harder to measure, not impossible, but harder. Simply saying that something is fact-based, or simply saying that it is the truth, is not at all indicative of the contents of any given truth claim. We cannot identify the truth by simply preferring it, or labeling our beliefs with it. This is not a license to ignore evidence. On the contrary, this is an encouragement to argue in good faith and articulate what our beliefs are without trying to impose a framework of epistemological arrogance, which will guarantee that no new understanding can be reached. This leads into the concept that what a human invests into an idea is often more than just a concern over true propositions. Truths don't just sit out there in the sky like stars that have no impact on our daily lives. We argue from emotion, which can be part of an experience we had, or from what our presumptions tell us to think about something. The Christian does not consider atheism on the merits of the arguments so much as the impact such a change of belief will have on their lives. How will their mother feel when she learns that she cannot commune with her son in the spiritual way of the past? What will the congregation think when their pastor abandons them to everything he preached against for years? What will the emptiness feel like when existence becomes a pointless accident and everything one cares about will fade away? These are all examples of strong emotional investments into an idea that give birth to a way of life. This is why conversions from one idea stronghold to its opposite are often long and humiliating. This is true from theism to atheism and vice versa. These idea strongholds are prominent with varying degree in every area of human inquiry. This is how opposing political forces are equally as convinced of the truth, equally certain that none of their beliefs are conspiracy theories, equally sure that no one on their side is contributing to the problems of the nation, equally adamant that their solutions are the only tolerable solutions, and equally faithful that anyone who does not align with them is an idiot. Whenever we begin a debate by attributing idiocy, we also immediately bring that debate to a close. If the possibility of being wrong only exists with other people, not us, then the debate becomes an exercise in vanity, pointlessly telling the opposition they are wrong, even though they believe as strongly that they are right. This problem is multiplied when sources of political news claim to have monopoly on political truth, legitimacy, and understanding. Why is one spin on political news legitimate and another not? One can submit the idea that, well, one source is true and another is false. One is fact-based and the other is fantasy. This is a false paradigm for all good faith actors. This is the gatekeeper myth that posits a very few authoritative sources which are tasked with handing down the truth. This is a Catholic Church priest class that gets to tell everyone else what is in the Book of Truth, even when the Book of Truth doesn't make sense to us. They want you to believe their statistics, their analysis, and their principles. They want you to accept their view on political news. This is perfectly valid, but not in a state of monopoly. In the absence of empirical verification, one is left with their political principles and experience by which to judge political news. As common consumers of news media, we piece together an understanding of what goes on around us. We listen to the talking heads tell us what is going on, and none of it is compatible with each other. We believe headlines and interpret statistics the way the presenter prefers. We get mad when they do, and mock when they do. Something is only reliable insofar as we believe it to be. For any political event, the truth of it is a very small portion. The rest is conscripted for the conflict of the political parties involved. This is not to say, again, that information cannot be judged by its merits or quality. Rather, it must be judged by its merit and quality, because that is the only tool we have to orient ourselves in the torrent of political news, much of which our only experience with is on a screen. This is a war of information, a war of principles, and while the truth can be distorted and useful for malice, what is more important is how everything surrounding the truth is distorted. The very meaning of truth can be changed by manipulating surrounding information without even having to lie. This is the crux. The implications of a truth are almost more important than the truth itself. This is the hinge on which political principles survive or die. And since political principles change society, we ought to pay attention to the dry truth, but even more, the interpretation of it.